John, very good to see you. We're going to start with an important question today. Should you convert your term life policy to a permanent policy? Many people purchase term life insurance for the affordability and protection it offers during their working years. But as life changes, the question often comes up, should you convert your term life policy into a permanent policy? So we're going to break down what you need to know today. But let's start with the basics. What is the difference between term and permanent?
Yes, this actually takes me back to my roots. I've been in this 20 years or so, and I actually interned for a pretty big insurance company as I was finishing up college. So I did get a good dose of this. So really, the big difference on term and whole life insurance is a term insurance. It's like leasing your car. You're going to have a certain amount of time, and at some point, you turn that car back in. Same kind of concept with the term insurance. It's going to be a little bit less expensive option as well. But you also have the ability to get into permanent insurance, and permanent insurance is some of that you keep, and you'll think you're buying that car. And where that can come into play over time is that you don't have to reapply and worry about your health and things of that nature.
Hmm. So, why might someone consider converting their term policy to a permanent policy?
Well, probably the most important one would be is if you have some sort of medical change. So
Yeah.
let's just say, I'm 45, right? And I've had insurance here over the last, really, I got that almost since I got into business. And really, I'm actually at this point now where I have the ability to convert one of my term insurance policies. And so what I might do is I may go ahead and convert that. But the con to it is that the premiums are usually a little bit higher.
Hmm.
And then also, sometimes the policies that they give you and the options to convert to are as good as something they could go out and go get new underwriting for.
I
And
see.
so it'll be a choice between those two, and then you kind of go from there.
Let's dive into that a little bit more then. What are the potential drawbacks or costs to be aware of before making that decision?
Well, when you kind of go and you look at those drawbacks, as like I said, one of them is that you may be limited into what you're able to go into.
Mm.
And so you might not like the structure of how that policy plays out, or maybe the cost is just too much for you to afford. And so you kind of have to look in there and think about, maybe do I apply for this and just get it so that way it's converted and I am still covered. And then maybe you go look for something after you get that converted.
Hmm. And you do believe that there are certain life stages or financial situations where conversions make the most sense, starting with if you have a blended family.
Yes, absolutely. This is where this planning really is important, and it's actually come up a lot more. A lot of times we have spouses who maybe passed away early on, and maybe they met somebody else, and they kind of blended into their family, and so they want to take care of the spouse that they're with now, but they also want to make sure they take care of their biological children. Well, life insurance is a great choice for that. That is a way of creating some cash for the family and help with the legacy. And that way, there's no hard feelings between
Mm-hmm.
the blended family, your children, and your new spouse. It just seems to make a really nice transition.
Hmm. Speaking of your children, the other thoughtful consideration would be if you have children with special needs.
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, children with special needs are great people. Anyone who's been around them, I had an aunt that was special needs, and it's just so important to make sure that there's some cash behind them if you were to pass, and just make sure that there's some cash there, so that way, if there's some things that their trustee needs to take care of, that there's plenty of funds there, and they can have everything that they need to live a nice, healthy life.
Hmm. And then the last factor would be if people want to leverage their required minimum distributions.
Yes, and this happens a lot actually, where people find that these aren't required minimum distributions, and those are distributions from your retirement accounts that the government makes you start drawing out. Well, a lot of times people don't need it. They said, you know what, John, fine off my pension, I'm fine off my Social Security. Why don't we take some of this money and leverage it into a tax-free cash benefit through life insurance for the children? And so a lot of times this is a great planning technique. But again, you buying that term insurance and having that ability to convert that at a later time comes into play big time.
So, John, I'm sure some people are hearing us talk this through and wondering what they should be considering. What is the first step before, as they evaluate all their options then when it comes to this big question?
Well, like anything else, I think you have to put everything in front of you. You have to understand your situation. say, hey, you know what, insurance important for me, right? And I think you have to find an advisor who can be a little bit unbiased on this a little bit. Sometimes if you have someone who just focuses on life insurance, you might see them push the life insurance a little bit harder on you. I think it's more important to just look at your overall family and have somebody who can kind of give you perspective, so that way you have the tools to make the choice whether you want to move forward on that.
Right. And you do have a special certification in this.
Yes, I am licensed to the state of Ohio, and that is something that I'm also licensed in Florida and a few other states. But really, what it comes down to is, we're licensed and we're able to talk through some of this stuff with you and try to put all the pieces together so that
Mhm.
way you can make a nice educated decision.
Great. Well, John, then if somebody wants to talk through their options with you and determine what makes the most sense for them, what's the best way to reach you?
Yes, 440-471-4300. Give us a call when you get a chance, and we'll walk you through the choices, and then ultimately you just have the tools to make the choice that's best for your family.
Great. All right, John, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
You got it. Take care.